water and money. You save by not having to use multiple products. And you only rinse once. For a laundry soap that can help save you time, water and money, try Whitewash Extra. Brand power, helping you buy better.
At this time, I want to paraphrase another text from the Old Testament, and this is Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 6. And it says that, nevertheless, I will bring health and healing to it. He was referring to the city of Jerusalem, how it was polluted, and will let them enjoy abundant peace and security. So God is promising restoration of his people. And I want to give you this hope of restoration, that amidst this coronavirus, God is going to heal his people. Are you infected? Are you affected in one way or another as a family, as I am talking to you today? God has promised that he will heal the land, this city. The cities of the world today are crying of COVID-19, but God is saying he will heal them, and he will heal the people and let them enjoy abundance, peace, and security.
From far with you. I even
work on fever in 15 minutes and is gentle on the tummy. Adult, baby and infant, tough on fever, gentle on your child. When you buy a bar of Cadbury Dairy Milk chocolate, you can help change the story. That's because we will use part of the proceeds to donate milk to less fortunate children across our beautiful country. Let us come together and show the generous spirit that is inside of all of us. Cadbury Dairy Milk. There's a glass and a half in everyone.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
NTV, turning on your world.
Welcome to another episode of Tizi Nyumbani. My name is Evelyn Hoala and I'll be your host for today. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Let's do this. We are going to train legs today. Are you ready? Oh yes, I'm ready for leg training today. And apart from our 2 water bottles, I have our chairs which we are going to use at some point. And then I have a bucket with me. It's just a mopping bucket, right? Yes, we are going to use that today in our session. So I'll give you 2 minutes to get everything so that we can get started. Our timer starts now. I'm going to give you a few minutes just to get started and get the work done. All right. Now 30 more seconds of that time, 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. Setting now. So I'll give you 30 seconds. Don't forget your water, don't forget your towel, because it's about to get lit. We want those toned legs, right? Perfect. 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds left. 10 more seconds left. And our time's up. Our time's up. So let's start our warm-up, right? All right. 1. All right. 2. We are doing 15. 3. 4. 10, go with me. 11, 12, 13, 14. Our timer starts now. So the second part of the warm-up, you're going to do that. All right. And remember I said, if you have an injury and you're doing any impact workout, please make sure you secure yourself from impact. If it's gonna hurt your back, hurt your knees, secure yourself from the impact. 5 more seconds, 5 more seconds. Then we go for the second part of the warm-up. There we go. So we're going to do jump squats, touching your ankle, touching your ankle. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and of course 15. Well done. Our rest time starts now. Walk around, breathe in and out, breathe in and out. Walk around. We have 5 more seconds to go. There we go, time's up. All right, we're going to go for the last part of the warm-up. You'll jump 1. All right, we're going to do 15. If you can't jump, just up. All right, 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and of course 15. Well done. Your rest time starts now. Walk around. All right, we have 15 more seconds to go. We still have time, we still have time. You can stretch some of those muscles, just feel yourself in readiness for what we are about to do. All right, time's up. Our time's up. So our next workout, pull that bucket. Either you pull the bucket or get yourself to a staircase, or if you have a stepper, you're so lucky. But I don't have a stepper, so we're going to use this. And what we're going to do is put your leg there, and we're going to do that 1. All right. If you can use weight, but for balance, because it's the first time we are elevating that, we're going to use just the bucket. You can also, if you can't balance properly, you can use this chair here, support yourself, and go down. 1, 2. Make it light because it's just to establish balance. You can even put it there and not actually use it. All right, so we're going to do 15 on each leg times 3, 15 on each leg times 3. Let's go. 1, and make sure you're going down, you're sinking down and not putting weight on your knees. All right, so there we go. Are you ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and one more, 15. Well done. Do the other side. Right. The other leg. Make sure you're well secured. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and one more, 15. Well done. Our rest time starts now. 30 seconds rest starts now. Walk around, walk around, walk around. If you're like me, you started feeling the burn. Five more seconds. 5 more seconds. And time's up. Time's up. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and the right, 15. Well done. The other leg. Let's go. Let's go, let's go. 1, 2, 3, and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and one more, 15. Well done, well done. The time's up. There we go, 30 seconds. 30 seconds, 30 seconds of rest. Walk around. 30 seconds of rest. Walk around. Walk around, walk around. With our time's up. Set number 3. You are doing amazing so far. Don't sit down. Let's kill it. 1, 2. This one. I even forgot. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and of course 15. The other leg. Let's go. 15. Let's go the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done, well done. Your rest time starts now. Your rest time starts now. Breathe in and out. In and out. Well done. Walk around, walk around. Our time's up. Our time's up. So our next workout, we're going to work the inner part of those legs. So you're going to be here, right? Here, and then 1, 2. But still, we can do it without the weight. Let me secure my water bottle. Perfect. Oh my goodness. Oh, that one's leaking. All right, let's see. So we can do that. 1, 2. All right. So if you are unable to balance yourself, you can put this on one side, for example, there, and then go on this leg, holding yourself on that leg, holding yourself. Don't use weight if you don't feel safe, all right? But if you can use weight, if you have water bottles like myself, please make use of them, even though one is leaking. Those are home problems, working from home, but we're making the best of it. So we're going to do 12 on each leg. When you go this side, for example, let me demonstrate in this angle. You go there and then sit on your bum, all right? And then bring it back. Sit on your bum, bring it back, all right? Don't go and bend like that. And this other leg goes perfectly straight, all right? Goes perfectly straight. I hope you got the hang of it already. Have you practiced like 2 or 3? Okay, let's move. We're going to have 12 on each leg as one set. We are doing 3 sets. Hold your water down or whatever weight you have. If you have dumbbells, you can as well hold them. 1, 2, 3 and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's go to the other leg. Let's go 1, 2, 3 and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Well done, well done. Our rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. Walk around. Walk around, walk around. We go for the next set. We go for the next set in, let's see. Our time's up. Next set. 1, 2, 3 and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sit on your bum. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and of course 12. The other side. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. Well done, well done. Our rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. Breathe in, out, in, out. We have 2 more seconds before the last set. Perfect, let's go for the last set. 1, 2, 3, and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and of course 12. The other leg, the other leg. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and of course 12. Well done, well done. Our rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. Breathe in, walk around, hydrate. Walk around, walk around. We have 8 more seconds, 6 more seconds. You're doing an amazing job. So far, if you're keeping up, you're doing an amazing job. Our time's up. Our time's up. Now to our next workout. Our next workout, first of all, we're going to do deadlifts. We're going to do 12 reps of deadlifts. 12 repetitions, sorry. 12 repetitions of deadlifts using our weight here. And then we are going to do lunge squat. So what I call lunge squat is that, squat. All right. However, if you're not able to jump with us, remember, you hold this, you lunge, you squat. All right. So we need to do deadlifts using one water bottle since the other one is leaking. So we're going to hold it close so that we're able to bend as low as possible. All right, we're going to do 12, then 12 lunge squat. We count on the squat. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and one more, 12. Now over to the lunge and squat. Our rest is after. So 1, 2, 3 and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, keep going, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Well done. Are you feeling the burn? Yes, I am. Our rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. Breathe in and out. In and out. Walk around, don't sit down. Walk around. We have 2 more sets to go. Remember I said I'm your host, Evelyn Owal of Eval Health and Fitness, EVEAL, on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. You can check us out. Our time's up. Let's go for the next set. 1, 2, 3, and go. 1, back straight. 2, keep going. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're doing well. 9, 10, 11, and 1 more. 12. Well done, well done. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, and move. 1, 2, keep going. 3, 4, 5, keep going. 6, 7, 8, 9, go down. 10, 11, and 12. Woo. The burn feels good. Our rest time starts now. Our rest time starts now. Breathe in and out. In and out. Walk around, walk around, walk around. We have 10 more seconds to go. Ten more seconds to go. Our time's up. Our time's up. We're going to do the last set. We're going to do the last set. I won't even ask you if you're ready. All right. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, and move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 1 more, and 12. Perfect, perfect. Now, let's go. 1, 2, 3 and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, keep going, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more, push, 11, 1 more, and of course 12. Well done, well done. Breathe in and out, in and out. Well done, well done. You did amazing, amazing. Now you have gotten control of your day already. Get up, move on, and conquer the world. That's it from here at Tizi Nyumbani. My name is Evelyn of Eval Health and Fitness, EVEAL, on Instagram, Facebook, or on Twitter. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Here at NMG, we are working very hard to ensure your favorite publications, Daily Nation, Business Daily, Taifa Leo, and the East African are readily available. In a bid to support the efforts to prevent the transmission of COVID-19, NMG has ensured our staff, our distributors, and their staff adhere to set guidelines. At our printing plant, all staff are required to wash their hands before entering the factory and must be wearing a mask. All workers either change their clothes on entering the factory or wear an overcoat. We are keeping doors open to avoid our staff touching door handles repeatedly. With our automated printing, contact with the newspaper is kept to a minimum, and at the packing process, the staff observe social distancing. Vehicles used to transport the newspapers are disinfected daily before the newspapers are loaded, and our delivery staff all wear masks and wash their hands regularly. Our vendors ensure that they sanitize every time they handle money and wear their masks at all times. NMG is proud to be able to safely meet your information needs. Stay safe, stay informed with our favorite NMG publications.
I'm a black man in Beverly Hills. This is it. Our new home, new beginnings.
We got money!
What are you worried about?
Worried about how you got it.
Let's enjoy this.
Welcome, neighbors! We are
the Smiths.
My name is Carl Black.
It's a little ironic that your name is Black.
Don't say it.
Move that thing, mommy, move that thing.
Vina vegetable oil stays liquid to the last drop, so it's smooth cooking from start to finish. Now with an easy-to-pour cap, Mapishi Poa, Madishi Poa.
This is NTV.
morning, East Africa. My name is Gladys Gachanja and happy new month of September. This is your world and today we focus on menstrual hygiene management as we face the fact that there are women and girls who cannot afford having a dignified monthly period. So where are we dropping the ball as a country? Is the launch of a menstrual hygiene management policy in May of this year the answer? We answer these and other questions as we listen to experts on the matter. Here now is what else you can expect.
They could bring us the sanitary pads, but not all the time.
Access to sanitary towels among women and girls across the country is still an issue that needs to be looked into, and today we will. Now, this Google balloon crashed and people thought it was a UFO.
Female genital mutilation has yet again reared its ugly head in West Pokot County.
An increase of FGM cases is still a thorny issue. We discuss its relation to menstrual health today. And New Zealand is no longer on lockdown, but the masks will stay on by law. Thank you again for joining us on this broadcast. As I mentioned, we shall be talking about menstrual hygiene management. And the question of the day to you is, what is the greatest barrier to accessing menstrual products? We're talking about pads, tampons, menstrual cup. And would like to hear your experiences. Share the same using that hashtag #NewNormal on our social media handles. And also, you can also reach us on the numbers on the bottom of your screen. But before we get to that conversation, let's look at the effects of COVID-19 around the world. The figures stand as we speak globally at 25,634,087 people confirmed to have COVID-19 around the world, 17,939,153 people have totally recovered from the same, and those who have succumbed to COVID-19 stands at 854,762 people globally. Now, in the country, as per yesterday's briefing, 34,201 Kenyans confirmed to have COVID-19, 19,893 have recovered, and 577 people have succumbed to COVID-19. As usual, remember, we give you these updates as and when we receive them. Now, to some of the stories making headlines in this season, a balloon flying at an altitude of 20 kilometers, launched by Google to extend internet access in remote areas, was found on the ground in the province of Bas-Ule in the north of the Democratic Republic of Congo, sparking false rumors of a fallen satellite. The Loon Project balloon, piloted by Google's parent company Alphabet, was found on August the 24th, according to Congolese authorities. Valentine Senga, the governor of Bas-Ule, said, "I consider this device to be an unidentified flying object. All the authorities in place were not informed at all." Now, a Congolese and a Pakistani who arrived to retrieve the balloon were fortunately apprehended by the forces of law and order, and they are in the middle of a hearing by the public prosecutor's office. Elsewhere, demonstrators gather in Port Louis, Mauritius, to protest the government's handling of an oil spill in early August that has severely damaged the southeast coast. Anne, at the demonstration, said, "I came to support the movement, to give my positive energy to this movement of the people of Mauritius, who for once are united in action, because rarely do people take to the streets in Mauritius. So I think it's important to be here and support this cause and to say no to what we've we've been going through for quite a while. And Tashmir, also a demonstrator, said we are protesting against this government which has been incompetent in recent years, and it is so sad to see how far we have fallen. We are afraid for our future and all our children. We Mauritians must stop dividing ourselves. And in South Africa, thousands of white South African bikers protest in Pretoria against the tax on farms, as dozens of predominantly white farmers are killed in South Africa every year. According to police, 49 murders occurred on farms in the 12 months up to April. Wearing face masks and with placards plastered to their vehicles, the protesting farmers drove in a long convoy around the north of Johannesburg. The protest was held as 3 suspects appeared in court on charges of murdering a 79-year-old farmer in March. A small group of farmers, including children, stepped out of their vehicles and held up their arms crossed in an X, symbolizing their call for an end to the attacks.
I'm here to support the fact that there's too many farm murders and all lives matter, and the murders have to stop.
Without the farmers, there's no food. Without food, South Africa will go hungry.
And to the focus of our conversation this morning, the world marked the Global Menstrual Health Day in May with startling revelations on the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on access to sanitary towels among women across the country, more so in informal settlements. In response, the Ministry of Health launched a national menstrual health management policy that will ensure women and girls have access to safe and hygienic products. Our health reporter Eunice Omolo with more.
Lydia Mbithe, a Form 4 student and a resident of Mukuru Kwaruben, takes us through the nooks and crannies of one of the capital's sprawling settlements to her home.
Our home saizi unajua ni kadide tunagoji exam. Sometimes it's a bit more boring.
But this is the list of her worries.
They could bring us the sanitary pads, but not all the time. So time when ametuletea tunge appreciate you, most of them. Unajua sometimes them are menses yani inakuanga uncomfortable huwezi enda shule kama hujavaa pads.
The Basic Education Amendment Act of 2017 stipulates that the government provides free, sufficient and quality sanitary towels to every girl registered and enrolled in a public basic education institution and who has reached puberty. Since then, the government allocated 470 million Kenya shillings to the program between 2017 and 2019, but an estimated 3 million girls are still missing out on the program.
I have one of my friends, she's actually, I can't tell you. So, sometimes she just comes and yambia, Lydia, just help me. Jumi siko sure kama kesho ndakuja shule, I'm on my menses. So, I just wonder, what can I do for these friends? For me, I'm not that stable, so I just do the favor of, let me ask my mom if she can buy for me, then I bring it to her.
But the pandemic has worsened the pain of the period for many girls. And with schools closed, many more are missing out on these essentials given out for free to manage their menses. The lack of access to sanitary products, price hikes, and worsened stigma while managing periods add on to the stress that women and girls are facing in the age of the coronavirus.
Sasa vile saizi mama yuko job juu ya pandemic, so unakuja na kuambia mimi msichana wangu mimi sina pesa na uwezi mforce kama ana pesa, you understand the situation vile tuko, so inakuwa ngumu, inakuwa hata unawish si tungekuwa kutu shule tungeletewa.
For many women, this monthly cycle already comes with its own set of troubles. Alice Rindiro, a 17-year-old from Kibra, knows this all too well.
Wakati nenda menstruation, unasikia ni kama mood yako haiko hapo, umeboeka, unataka tu ukae peke yako, umeboeka tu uko moodless.
The stigma is worse for younger girls.
Kuna wakati mwingine ukiwa shule, unaambiwa wewe umekuwa mkubwa, vitu kama hizo sasa tujaipitia, lakini wewe unapitia. Na pia kuna wale watasema hii ni hali.
Studies show that 1 out of 10 girls in primary school get their first period while younger than 11 years old. 54% of girls who went through early onset of periods experienced diminished academic performance compared to those with normal menarche age. Studies also show that only 12% of girls are comfortable having discussions on menstrual health with their mothers. The realities are more grim for persons living with disability. 41-year-old Patricia Mulongo, who lives with a hearing disability, knows too well the challenges faced by persons living with disability.
People with wheelchair, an example of that. Maybe they want to use a public toilet. If a person with a wheelchair has to go to the toilet, being able to access that toilet and it's so dirty becomes a problem. And the doors are pretty small.
Water, sanitation and hygiene is a key component in maintaining menstrual hygiene among girls.
There's a big problem. Juu story ya maji. Unajua this area sometimes you lack water. Na time unapata maji inauzwa 10 bob mtungi. Una expectiwa uoshe mikono kila time. Weka dem kama kwa your menses lazima uoge, lazima take shower twice or thrice a day. So vile hakuna maji, unatumia maji ya mama na kuuliza, unajua mtungi ni 10 bob. Karibu maji utajua ujui na kuna maji. Utafanya nini? So it's a big challenging dem hadi anashindwa kutoka nje. Utatoka nje ukinuka. So inabidi ukatoka nyumba. Kuna otherwise.
So what the ministry is doing is to ensure that wash interventions, specifically for menstrual hygiene management, are incorporated into the other wash interventions for COVID-19 prevention. And this is to mean that we continue, first of all, giving the right information, because you know the girls, especially the school girls, they have been getting the information about menstruation from school. But now they are no longer getting it from schools.
Some of those who can ill afford the sanitary towel are sometimes lured into transactional sex in exchange for the sanitary towels.
We normally get calls from the parents, which means that they are not okay, because the slum life is just life in the jungle. There's man for himself and God for us all.
Susan Wavinya Wairimo, who was impregnated at the age of 17, knows these all too well.
I felt and I understood what it feels to be in that situation. Affording that packet of sanitary towel becomes a problem.
She has since started a campaign to mobilize well-wishers through social media to donate sanitary items, which she then distributes to the young mothers and teenage girls.
The government, as they have been reducing the tax on other food items, I would really urge that the price of this sanitary pads is subsidized or removed at all, or removed completely in this COVID-19 response, so that these girls and women can access these materials and they can live a dignified life.
Government policy on menstrual health is also expected to take into account the persons living with disability and the various cultural aspects in the management of menstrual health. As the world and the country is locked down due to the pandemic, it is the hope of millions of young girls that their menstrual health rights are not locked out. Eunice Omolo, NTV.
That is the sad reality when it comes to menstrual hygiene management in this country. And actually, it's not unique to Kenya also. The other parts of the world grappling with the same. But now that we're talking about our context, let's bring in the experts in this field. Alfred Muli, who is an MHM champion, and he's representing an NGO called Ruby Cup. Thank you for your time. We're also joined by Agnes Makanyi, who is the WASH specialist at UNICEF Kenya. She joins us virtually. Grace Kate, who is a program officer at CREW. Thank you for your time. Norbert Musundi, who is a public health officer, Trans Nzoia County. And of course, Lizzie Kiama, who is a managing trustee at Disability, and she herself lives with a disability. Thank you all for joining us on this conversation. I'll start off with you, Alfred. Just looking at that report, it brings home a lot of the realities you see on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah.
So how has the effects of the pandemic really trickled down to the girls and women?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the girls in this country get their products from school, and a lot of us have interventions mostly in schools. And so that's a really good entry point for us to, you know, to meet with the girls and talk about menstruation, because it's not just about the menstrual materials, it's also about the education. Most of them don't have the correct information about puberty. The first time, which is menarche, the first time they have periods, they don't know what is happening. It's quite a traumatizing time for them. And now we can't meet in groups to discuss that and even give away the products. And yeah, like you saw in the report, 12% of the girls were the only ones who are comfortable with discussing menstruation with their mothers. So you can imagine also with their fathers and like other people, it's such a big challenge. So they are they are staying at home without access to materials, but also without access to information. Yeah.
Okay, and the Griskate crew has been on the road. This is the Center for Rights Education and Awareness, enabling women and girls in as far as their menstrual hygiene management is concerned. What have you seen in the different counties?
Thank you, Gladys. Our crew has, since the pandemic began, we have been distributing dignity kits to our girls and women in the 9 counties that our crew has presence in. And we also focusing on girls and women in the informal segments in Nairobi, and also the rural setup where we noticed that the girls are marginalized and also the hard to reach girls. So we've noted that most of these girls don't have access to these dignity kits that includes sanitary pads and underclothes. And also the level of knowledge, access to information is quite different because those who are in the urban setup really have some knowledge compared to the ones at the rural areas, the marginalized areas at the rural areas. They don't have much information in regards to the information in management of menstrual health. So what we've been doing is going to these areas and meeting up with the girls together with our community champions. The community champions are based near the girls that we normally use to access these girls, because due to the social distancing measures and also like my colleague has said, meeting up huge numbers of girls is quite difficult. So we are using the community champions as well as working closely with the county governments in the distribution of these dignity kits.
Okay, and Norbert, you represent Trans Nzoia County, and one of the impediments to access to menstrual hygiene products has been the social economic impact that has been brought about by the pandemic. What's the situation in Trans Nzoia County?
Okay, thank you. The situation on menstrual hygiene management in Trans Nzoia is also one thing. Since the pandemic started, most of the businesses closed, and most of the girls really depended on their mothers for access to the products. Because the schools closed abruptly, there was no opportunity for the girls to pick the sanitary pads as they go home. So the situation has been really dire, but we have been working through our community world work coaches to educate the girls on the need to continue accessing these facilities. I know it's a challenge because they now have to buy, but most of the girls have come up with several challenges. Some have also resorted to now using the reusable ones so that they can be able to at least have a dignified way of handling their menstrual hygiene situations.
Okay.
Also, issues around...
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, and also the issue around water, accessibility and availability of water has been a challenge. You realize most of these girls were really depending on the schools, and when the schools closed, adjusting to life back at home was also a challenge to most of them. Thank you.
Okay, now Agnes, definitely, even as Norbert talks about access to water, this is your forte, and at a time where we are being told hygiene is the best defense against COVID-19, this is the same reality when it comes to MHM management, right?
Thank you, Gladys. Yes, that is right. When it comes to menstrual hygiene management, access to water is very important to our girls and women. And during this pandemic of COVID-19, we have increased awareness on everyone to practice hand washing, at least for 20 seconds, to be able to prevent transmission of COVID-19. Now, in terms of menstruation, our girls, and we know over 50% of our population are women. So they need this access to water to be able to clean, to be able to wash. And as you have heard, even from the girls in the slum areas, they have to buy this water. Although the government, Ministry of Water, has been supplementing by tracking this water to the informal settlements. But the informal settlements, the rural areas, the ASA areas, or the arid and sanitation, and the arid and semi-arid lands are like northeastern, eastern counties. We have a big challenge with access to water. So the mother has to balance between, do I give the girls for cleaning, or is this for cooking and the other domestic needs in the home? And practicing menstruation in dignity is a right for women and girls. So access to water during this COVID-19 has been a challenge to our girls and women because of the increased demand, because we are asking everyone to practice hand washing with water and soap. So this has put a lot of strain to the mothers and fathers, considering also that we have had a loss in employment and jobs and access to a source of income. So the father and the mother has to balance between access to this water and not only water, access to sanitation facilities, a clean toilet with a privacy, which the girl can use to change, or the woman, is very important. And when we check the informal settlements, there's a challenge with the sanitation facilities we have. We do not have adequate privacy, or they are not clean. So this makes it really a taboo, or the girls are stigmatized, and they are not able to use even these facilities because they are not clean for them to be able to change. So they have to close themselves in the house or not have access to this. So the issue of water, sanitation, and hygiene is very important to the girls and women during menstruation.
Okay, and just looking at the report we watched earlier, Lizzie, the issue of those living with disability also came up. What is your experience during this time of the pandemic?
Thank you for having me, Gladys. So the situation among women and girls with disabilities, because when we say persons with disabilities, we are also removing the various identities. So it's very important for us to be clear that it is women and girls with disabilities who menstruate and who are particularly affected in this situation. But the reality is that accessibility, affordability, the stigma that is associated with disability, this has all been a reality for communities of women and girls with disabilities before the pandemic. So this is not an issue of COVID-19. You know, all these issues were our reality way before this. And the main thing, particularly with disability, we feel that because society views women and girls with disability as not having a sexuality, then the situation is compounded, because when it comes to information around menstruation, information around sexual and reproductive health, access to quality services is then taken away from this community. So it starts from how society perceives communities of women and girls with disabilities, and then it trickles down and forms several layers of marginalization and discrimination, which really forms the reality of their lives. So when it comes to products that are available in our society, the reality is the products are not made with women and girls, with the needs of women and girls with disabilities in mind. So you find there are various products in the market, but when it comes to the practicality and the usability of these products, then women and girls with disabilities would not be able to use them the way they are required. So without interventions, there is a lack of privacy, there is a lack of confidentiality when it comes to women who are blind, for example, and you have to have somebody accompanying you to, you know, pick up which product might be good for you. There is a lot of trial and error, so manufacturers are not taking this into consideration. schools as well when it comes to providing education around this area, segregated schools, those that are focused on disability, focus on the impairment, and issues around sexuality are taken away. Parents want to protect their children, so they keep them hidden and don't have these conversations with them. So it's an important conversation that needs to be had, and we're not having enough of it.
Okay, and speaking of those living with disability, as Lizzie has said, with the right interventions and support, this experience can actually be very dignified. Here now is a story of Ivy, who lives with Down syndrome, and her experience when it comes to menstrual hygiene.
So, okay, our journey has been awesome. We've had some ups and downs, but nothing has been out of normal. So what we've done, we've worked with her from the puberty stage all the way to now that she's a teen, and the journey has been awesome. So we've been friends, working with each other, and she has been jovial. We've been working together, involving her in whatever we do, the household chores, outdoor things, working with her all over. So yeah, we're friends. I think for the journey, nothing out of what and similar to what I went through. Yeah, because we start from the menstrual period part up to now. So as we've been okay, and one thing I'm so proud, not even a single day I've ever had her or seen her mess herself. So it's very normal. It's just how you teach her, how you talk with her, and she has been up to it.
I have no difficult moments. I have the best moments. Tunaomba uwepo wako wende nasi, ewe Bwana wa majeshi tusikie. Kama huweni nasi, hatutaki kutoka hapa, hatuwezi peke yetu, uende nasi. Tutavua mambo yetu, vitu vyote.
Ivy, a wonderful, wonderful girl that we met yesterday, and her story on puberty and experiences with menstrual hygiene had to come up on this conversation, even as we include everyone on the same. And back to you, Alfred. Somebody is asking, we've talked about the informal settlements, rural areas. Do we ever stop to think about the girls who are on the streets?
Yeah, I mean, most women do menstruate, and a lot of us do forget those groups, unless, the stories are highlighted, like, you have highlighted here, and even, those of us who are working with them, we also, struggle with, especially follow-up with them. So, for instance, at Rubicap, we normally do the training and distribution. Then we go back after 6 weeks, go back again after 6 months, and then after 1 year. So during these follow-ups, especially for our partners who work with the children in the with street children, they go back and they don't find them. They've relocated. Same with people who are nomadic pastoralists. It's the same challenge. Follow-up becomes such a big challenge, so you don't actually know whether they are still using the product or not, or whether they have other challenges that they didn't share with you during the first meeting. Because yes, menstruation is a taboo topic, talked in low tones, in fact not talked about at all in most homes. Yeah. So you need a safe space, and a lot of these community organizations have such structures where they have ambassadors and mentors who then create these safe spaces for these groups to open up and share their challenges. But yeah, it's a big challenge that follow-up is a big problem, and also sustainability, in the sense that a lot of people who are doing the intervention would provide disposable sanitary pads. And, they don't last for long. And, there is also a risk that they will be stolen, or they will be shared, or they will even sell them in order to get food or other basic needs. So it's still a big gap. The same way there is a big gap generally for out of school clients or out of school women and girls? Because yes, a lot of us are working in schools, but what about those who are out of school? It still remains a big challenge, and it's partly because of the structure and the fact that follow-ups is such a big challenge. Yeah.
Okay, and Grace, even as you go from county to county, my question is, how do we address the sustainability question? You have given them this kit, they have something to use for the month or two. What next? How do you ensure, how can we ensure that each and every girl has that dignity pack?
Thank you, Gladys. We need to have a gender-sensitive approach because we've realized that currently, even way before the pandemic hit us, we have competing priorities at the household level because of limited access to livelihoods, also shortage of income. So what has been happening is when we interact with these girls and women, they tell us that due to lack of maybe resources, they are unable to afford. So we are doing cash transfers to their parents and also the girls that are having a livelihood. So, and also training them on how to, on relationships, on self-confidence, and also how to actually be empowered enough, because you realize that menstrual health is closely related to gender-based violence, because with the high teenage number of pregnant girls, most of them will not be able to maybe go back to school, or others may even be tempted or forced into early marriages. So we are working with the parents as well, just to ensure that when these girls give birth, they are able to go back to school, because we realize that the parents also encourage the girls to get pregnant because they tempt to think that the girls now, since they are pregnant, they are going to be a burden. And with shrinked resources, they'll not be able to take care of the girls as well as their babies. So we are encouraging the parents and also doing mentorship to ensure that once these girls give birth, they are able to go back to school. And also these parents, when they start earning an income, we make sure that they start prioritizing menstrual products as a basic need in the household, because and also we realize that our parents, especially our fathers, they are the ones who control the budget at the household level, and there's no way a girl, because we've realized that most girls are close to their mothers and not their fathers, and when fathers don't see the need for the menstrual health products, it will not be a priority to our girls. So we are looking in ways and strategies that we encourage that menstrual health products and also management will become a priority at the household level. And with school closures, most girls used to access these products at school, and now they are out of school. So we want to encourage the other stakeholders. How do we ensure that when these things happen, like for this COVID-19 pandemic, it was not anticipated. And now most girls don't have access to the free sanitary pads as stipulated in the Basic Act. So it has been left at the mercy of maybe donors, as well as other well-wishers to provide these sanitary pads to our girls. So we need also to make sure that the policy, the menstrual health management policy has been properly implemented, because it's a good document that once implemented, it's going to actually ensure the sustainability of the menstrual health management with all the stakeholders involved. And I believe that once that's done, we'll have our girls and women have a dignified way of life.
Now, no, but Grace has mentioned something, the fact that it is the man of the home that controls the budget. So if he's not sold to that, to the pads or menstrual hygiene products being a priority, then there is a problem. How do you in Trans Nzoia County ensure that men are part and parcel of this conversation? I think we have lost Norbert, but we shall get him back in a moment. But let's talk to the man in the room. How do you ensure that we reel in the men in this conversation?
It's very easy and also challenging at the same time. it's important that they have the correct information. One, men would want to help, and this is, from my experience working with men and engaging men in these conversations, they would want to help, but they don't have this information. Remember when we were growing up, we would play all of us together, and when we get to puberty, you are told don't play with girls, don't play with boys. And when menstruation happens, and unfortunately, like a girl leaks, boys would laugh, and they don't know what exactly they are laughing at. We don't know the impact of that, the long-term impact of that stigma on the girl's self-esteem, and other broader aspect on life. So it's important that men are involved, not just as providers, but also with the correct information. So once they have the correct information, then they can be a support system, and not necessarily now perpetrators and conveyors of myths and taboos. So yeah, information is very important, and not just about menstruation alone, also understanding puberty, and that these changes that occur to both boys and girls are also normal. So the same way for boys it's normal, again for girls, even menstruation should be one of those things, or landmark body changes that are seen and viewed as normal. So really normalizing menstruation is the way to go.
Okay, and I understand we have Norbert back. How are you ensuring that men and boys are part of this conversation in as far as menstrual hygiene management is concerned in Trans Nzoia County?
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I had gone off briefly. Okay, in Trans Nzoia County, we are running a program for school water and sanitary program, with support from UNICEF. And program, we have brought all the partners or the stakeholders at the county level have a which encompasses health. In this program, we have been able to train all the officers, especially the Department of Public Health, and in the schools that we are operating, we have trained several teachers on how to cascade this program to the pupils, and they have gone back and trained 6,569 pupils on menstrual hygiene management. The issue of male involvement is very key in this topic, because it's very important. The girl is just school. And I'm happy to report that in the schools we're operating, the teachers have been sensitized, the pupils have been sensitized, and they can freely move to the head teachers or the deputy head teachers to pick the sanitary pads. Yes.
Okay. And let me bring in Agnes on this one. We have talked about the role of stigma and myths and misconceptions when it comes to menstrual hygiene management. And just last year, we had the sad story of a girl who actually took her own life because she had been shamed by her teacher for soiling herself. How best can this be addressed, Agnes?
Thank you very much, Gladys. Yeah, the issue of stigma and taboo is a reality. And that was a very sad story of how that girl went through the shame. So the way we are addressing the stigma and the taboos around menstruation is working with the government and other stakeholders to ensure that we are creating the right information about menstruation. This is actually in the menstrual hygiene and management policy and strategy, which was launched in 28th of May. And in this policy, it clearly states that we have to give the right information on menstruation. What is menstruation? That it's a normal biological process which the girls and women undergo, and also the boys have their normal puberty process. So this right information then will break the silence around menstruation to ensure that everyone from the society understands this girl and this woman is going through a normal process, and that there's nothing to hide about it. So in providing this information, the right information, then we ensure that everyone is targeted, the men at home, including the fathers, the brothers, and the boys at school. They also are taken through these sessions to understand what menstruation is and also what they go through. And we have a girls' puberty book, which has been prepared, which gives the girls more information, and boys. It does not only involve the girls, but also the boys to understand that they need to support the girls in this area and to understand what menstruation is. And then also the mothers. Actually, mothers, they are a source of information to the girls, but most mothers do not have the right information on what menstruation is, what changes go through the girl. So you find the girl may be having pain because of menstruation, may lack the materials, but the mother will just not be aware. How can I support my girl well? So also the mothers have to get the right information, and the fathers also to know that. As they are budgeting, they really need to support these girls. So the breaking the silence around menstruation is what you're doing, Gladys, now, which is very key. Creating awareness on what menstruation is. Not having it as that hidden story that the girl or the woman is dirty when she's menstruating. She should not stand in the open and talk, or she should not go to work, or the girl should not go to school. So they find the girl missing even school up to 4 days in a month. So this right information, and that's what we are advocating as UNICEF. By first, we enabled to make sure that the policy and strategy have been launched and passed. And we have a dissemination plan on how this can be disseminated to everyone, from the stakeholders from the policymakers to the parents, to the girls and boys themselves, to make sure that they have the right information around menstruation. We have also supported with Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development to prepare a menstrual hygiene management handbook for teachers. This handbook is very important for the teachers to understand when they are taking these boys and girls through menstruation, which are the key aspects they need to take them through. How can they understand the changes going through their bodies? How can they understand the mood swings? How can they support one another to go this process so that the boys don't ridicule the girls, and the girls also support one another? You'll be surprised also some girls tease one another. About the menstruation, and they are not out to support, and they'll be laughing at the girls who have stained their dress. So we address all this and ask the girls to form support groups to be able to support one another so that they go through this journey together. So this handbook comes in the handy, and we are also advocating for Ministry of Education to include it in the school curriculum, so that as these girls grow, it's not one page in the science book, but they have a whole handbook taking them through in a very practical manner. How can they undergo through the changes in their body and how they can understand?
Okay, and still talking about the risk factors that come with improper MHM in this case, Grace, there has been, and we saw that in the report earlier, the increase of transactional sex. Is this a reality you've seen on the ground?
Yes, Gladys, it's a reality. It's happening even both at the informal settlements and the rural areas, because you realize that they are doing it because they don't have access to these menstrual health products. So what is happening on the ground is these girls, actually even they end up being defiled, or even facing other forms of violence such as rape, because they'll meet somebody on the road, on the way, or even a neighbor, or even a close relative. They are lied to that, okay, I'm going to give you the 50 shillings you need for the sanitary pads or 100 bob, but now you have to pay back. And the only way that these girls can pay back is through transactional sex. And also the parents are partly to blame, because once we were interviewing some of the girls, especially at the rural areas and even in the informal settlements, they tell us when they ask, actually they do ask for money to buy these sanitary pads, but the parents tell them, go get them for yourself. And these girls don't have income. And the parents know that these girls obviously once they go out, they'll meet with people out there, and they'll be actually even be misled to believe that once they give out the transactional set, they are going to have the sanitary pads, as well as even now the issue of food is coming in, because the parents tell the girls, go out, look for food and bring home. So honestly, how can a parent, and this girl who is in a secondary or even primary level, so what happens now, they'll be tempted to actually even go for the transactional sex or even exploitation by these people out there. And that's where now the issue of pregnancy comes in.
Okay, and we're talking about the impediments to access to products that actually help in MHM management, and the cost of the same has been the biggest impediment. I mean, these parents that are putting their children at risk is because they cannot afford it. Yeah. So what are the various options out there, and how does the cost look like, and how can we ensure all girls can access at least one of them?
Yeah, one, I think, yes, cost is a big problem, but also lack of information on how to use, and even like not knowing whether there are such options. So we have several options out there. For instance, we have the menstrual cup, like the one we work with at Ruby Cup. We have disposable sanitary pads. Those are like the single-use pads. And then you also have the reusable sanitary pads, mostly made from cotton or bamboo. Again, another sustainable option, so that you use, wash, and reuse again. Some of them last up to like 2 years, others mostly 1 year. A menstrual cup, most of them, like Ruby Cup, would last up to 10 years. And then, of course, there are those which are disposable. Then there are options of tampons, and also the cloth. So I think sometimes we demonize the cloth, but cloth is actually an option so long as it's well maintained. You know, you use, wash, and dry in the sun and use it again. There are also options around cotton as well. And now, quite recently, we have the period panties that are also getting good traction in the market.
Okay, when you say period panties, what are you referring to exactly?
Yeah, it's a panty that is you wear, and you know, after the period, you go wash and reuse it again.
So it has a lining.
Yeah, it's slightly different from a reusable sanitary pad, because most reusable sanitary pads have layers that you remove the clothes, go wash. But this is actually a full-on panty that you wear.
Okay, interesting. You talk about the Ruby Cup, which really is a form of a menstrual cup, and you came with some of them to show us, because I believe very few people even know how it looks like. Could you show how it looks like and how to use it?
Yes, so a Ruby Cup comes with this, it basically comes with this an instruction or instructions for use. So these will tell you how to use it, how to clean it, how to even dispose it later on. That's after 10 years. Then it comes on with this cotton bag. It has to be cotton so that, you know, it can breathe. And now this is the Ruby Cup.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ruby Cup and most other menstrual cups are made from medical grade silicone. So it's the same material that is used to make, you know, munyoni for the kids.
Munyoni,
the
feeding bottle, yes.
Yeah, the baby bottles. So like the medical grade silicone is actually very friendly to the human body. So once it's already inside the body, you won't even feel it. And unlike other products, this one you can go swimming, you can do anything you need to do. They come in 2 sizes. We have the medium and the small. So what determines the size of the cup would be the height of your cervix, but also the flow. If you are light and medium flow, the small one is good for you. But if you are heavy flow, then the medium one is the one you need to use. So you can wear one up to 12 hours. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, so once you wear, when going to bed, you won't need to wake up at night to change. Or if you are traveling, you don't need to make stopovers and change your product. So there are different ways of inserting the cup.
Okay, if you can hold it up so that the camera can get it as you let us know how to use it.
Yeah, so there are different options. We have what we call punch down. So basically you use the thumb and punch like that. Then you fold it like that. And then you insert, you hear it pop.
Okay, just do that again so that we can see it on the screen.
Yes, so that's the punch down. You punch,
Uh-huh.
then you insert, and then it will pop.
Uh-huh.
Then it will collect blood for whatever time you are wearing it, so long as it's not more than 12 hours. Then because then it has, if you look at the cup, has a few holes here. It's for suction so that it can't come out.
Okay.
And then also removing, you can't again pull it like this. You have to, first of all, create a suction, like air suction, so that it's, a space for air to enter, then you can remove.
Okay.
So that's one option. Another option is like the C fold. So basically you fold it to a C.
Okay, let's show that on camera.
Yeah, so C fold.
Okay.
Becomes a C. You insert again, it pops.
Uh-huh.
Then it collects, you remove, and pour the blood. Very important that, unlike, and of course it's for every menstrual product, you have to first of all wash your hands with water and hand washing with running water and soap, because then you can easily introduce infections if you don't wash your hands. So it's very important that you wash your hands before and after inserting a cup.
Okay.
Then number 2, after your cycle, which is either in most cases between 3 to 5 days, you have to boil it so that you disinfect it. Alternatively, if you have the option of buying sterilizing tablets like Miltons, then that you can also use that. We also have, menstrual cup cleans, Ruby cup cleans, for instance, where you just insert in the clean, and then you can even microwave, and that's it.
How long can you use it for?
For 10 years. It will last up to 10 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And how much does it cost? Is it accessible?
Yeah, so for Ruby cup, we have an inbuilt buy one, give one business model. So ideally, for every cup you buy, we donate another one to someone in need. And these donations are done through strategic partnerships with community organizations. So these are guys who have grassroots presence. They already have structures in the communities, because as you can see, it's not a product that I can easily talk about and people use it.
Yeah.
It has to be done by actually a Ruby cup user. So the women who do the trainings, they are Ruby cup users, and they do what we call sustained support. When I talked about the follow-ups at 6 weeks, 6 months, and 1 year, it's done by these Ruby cup users who are trained. And they do follow-up, routine follow-up with these girls and women to make sure that they are continuously using, and in case they have any challenges. So obviously the first time, after 6 weeks, most of them will not even have tried it. It still looks big for them.
Yeah.
They will still think it will disappear up there, even after they've already been trained on, like, the female reproductive system. But then when 1 or 2 of them have used and they share their experiences, then they encourage the others. So it's quite a rigorous process, and quite comprehensive in terms of the information that these trainers give to the women and the girls. And yeah, like we've done these now, currently doing these in 12 countries with 22 such organizations.
Okay, now let me bring Lizzie into this. We've been told about the options there are. You said out there, people don't stop to think about those women and girls living with disability. Is the menstrual cup an option that works for you? Or for most people?
For me personally? For me personally, or for the majority of women and girls with disabilities?
And girls.
Yeah, okay. So it really depends on the disability, on the impairment of the individual. So people with physical disabilities and mobility issues might have an issue putting on the Ruby cup. Sorry, not the Ruby cup, but the menstrual cup.
Yeah.
So it's important to, I think, for manufacturers to have options. So for example, the billboard that we had last year, which depicted a girl that did not have, any fingers and was holding a menstrual cup. This menstrual cup is an impossibility for her to use. She would not be able to use it. So it's important for there to be options in the market that take into consideration women and girls with disabilities. And then this specific girl also was not able to open your traditional sanitary pad. I don't remember the brand, but it did not have, the perforations that make it easy to tear. So it's, she needed help for someone to even open up that package. And then there are also instances of women who are wheelchair users. The traditional, narrow, thin pad for individuals who have to remain seated for a very long time are difficult in terms of, and are not practical in terms of their use. So there has been recommendations and conversations with manufacturers to probably provide a thicker solution, cross between a sanitary pad and a diaper for people who have to sit for longer periods, who need to probably lie down completely in order to put on a sanitary pad, because it's not a case where you'll just pop into the bathroom and change as quickly as a non-disabled woman. So it's important for these conversations to be had so that manufacturers can understand the diversity of needs that women have. And also when it comes to the period panty, there was also recommendations from the disability community. Disposable panties, the ones that you would find possibly when you have given birth. I'm not sure if they're available locally, but it's a panty and it's a pad and it's disposable. So that would also be used, and it might be an option for the larger population of women and girls, and not necessarily just for women and girls with disabilities. So it's important for this kind of market research to be conducted, to be inclusive of communities of women and girls with disabilities, because that would inform innovation that could cut across various markets.
Very well said. And when we come back from this short break, we take time to think about our healthcare workers, especially during this pandemic. Yes, they might be catering for you, but then again, we said everybody goes through that time of the month. So how do they handle it, and what are the options for them out there? Stay with us.
Are you a business owner? Sign up today to accept fast, easy, and secure payments through Visa. What's more,
breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
Mimi fundi naelewa chuma ya nguvu ni gani. Wini tulijuana 2010.
Kitengenezewa mlango na chuma strong. Utakuwa ukilala usingizi nono.
Jijenge na Doshi Steel. Chuma ya nguvu.
Does it mean Mom was telling the truth? He knows who I really am, the daughter of his rival. That's why he doesn't care about me.
Hey! Let go! I knew it! You're up to something again! She came here because she wants to side with us.
I want to help you guys bring Dad down.
How can we be certain that you're on our side? Tell me the truth! Did you meet up with your mother?
I just needed time to be alone.
Are you a business owner? Sign up today to accept fast, easy, and secure payments through Visa. What's more, enjoy flexible financing options for your business. Call us today on 0703 095 445.
Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gachanja. Our conversation of the day is menstrual hygiene management and how that is being done in this country, the gaps therein, and of course, how we can ensure we cater for all our women and girls. Now, before we get to it, in the city of Ansbach in Bavaria, Stephanie Wagner is a proud owner of a shop dedicated to periods. Customers can browse through sustainable sanitary towels, reusable menstrual cups, and even say hello to her dog, Mary Poppins. The former Douala wants to lift the taboo on periods and says the best way to celebrate women's bodies is to open up a conversation about menstruation. In Stephanie's shop, you can find everything you need to live your period well and sustainably. Her sanitary towels are made of organic cotton in a local workshop and can be reused for many years. She also sells menstrual cups, a small reusable silicone container that replaces tampons.
Okay, da geht nichts durch. Für Blutung und schwache Blase.
Now, from across Latin America, Lucrecia, Victoria, Vania, and Sebastian share their personal thoughts on their periods from the intimacy of their bathrooms, where they address sex, the price of sanitary products, and gender identification. Now back home, hundreds of teenage girls have undergone female genital mutilation in West Pokot County since the COVID-19 pandemic started. And according to authorities, this is going on. With the closure of schools, parents have resorted to coercing their girls into the dreaded and unlawful cut so as to marry them off in exchange for dowry during these difficult times. Rose Wangoi with that report.
Female genital mutilation has yet again reared its ugly head in West Pokot County. The outbreak of COVID-19 has raised the specter of an increase of FGM. The closure of schools has also created a conducive environment for the illegal practice to continue.
The girls are idle at home. There's a lot of uncertainties. People are not sure when this pandemic is going to end. So there is also misleading information in the villages that this COVID-19 will never come to an end. So people should cut their girls and marry them off. People cannot afford food. So it's also another source of income. So the girls have to be cut so they can be married off so that they can fetch dowry.
Over 500 girls in West Pokot have gone through the cut between March and June 2020.
Wasichana hapa na wamama walienda msitu hii ya South Forest wakaketa wasichana, tuka-identify wachache wenye tulifuata kuwasika na kupeleka kwa polisi.
We've had Tapach ward as the leading county, as the leading ward with over 300 cases of FGM. That's an estimate based on the reports we're receiving from the ground.
A 12-year-old girl from Tapach ward is fighting for her life at Kapenguria County Hospital after undergoing the cut on 6th June.
because we know that the girls are in the villages at the moment who are suffering, who need urgent medical attention, and they are hiding because they fear that they may be arrested.
The Anti-FGM Board and non-governmental organizations have started a 7-day campaign in areas deemed hotspots.
La msingi mno, naomba kuwe na goodwill ya community nzima, ndo hili jambo litaweza kupigana hadi mwisho. Na pia nitoe onyo kwa wale ambao wanashiriki katika jambo hili zima kwamba sheria ipo.
Since the outbreak of COVID-19, the government ordered charities to shut rescue centers as they did not comply with social distancing measures, leaving many girls unable to escape communities where they were at risk of FGM. Rozongoi, NTV.
At this point, we cannot ignore the role of culture and religion when it comes to menstrual hygiene management. And Norbert, I'm curious to know, what are the impediments you're facing in Trans Nzoia County when it comes to culture?
Okay, thank you. In Trans Nzoia County, Trans Nzoia is a county with several cultural practices. We have different ethnic groups in Trans Nzoia. A few are practicing FGM. And the truth of the matter is that cultural beliefs have also hindered our girls and women from accessing MHM products. This is because of the socioeconomic standards of some of the families. We have single parent families, and these mothers are not able to afford these products. Also, we have a few people who are now cheating these girls that they'll be able to provide these products, but they end up messing the girls. But I'm happy to report that the administration is now has taken up this role, and is really on their toes. I appreciate the directive by the president on the issue of impregnation of girls, and I think this issue has gone down to the community, and people are now worried. People are now most of the people are now serious that any person who is found with a girl who is assumed to be a schoolgirl will be apprehended and forwarded to the law enforcers. That's currently what we are doing. And also civic education is ongoing through the various stakeholders, just to educate our girls on the dangers of engaging into early sexual activities and marriages. Thank you.
Okay, and Grace, while you work on the ground, have you come across resistance, especially from the religious quarters, when it comes to enabling young girls and women in as far as their menstrual hygiene is concerned?
Thank you, Gladys. I won't say we've come up across the resistance from the religion. In fact, we are working with them to ensure that our girls and women have access to age-appropriate information, as well as now what I was talking about, mentorship. So we haven't come across resistance so far, but for cultural, yes, because you realize that crew is working in 9 counties, that is Nairobi, Meru, Nyeri, Kilifi, Narok, Isiolo, Bomet, and Kericho. So on cultural aspect, especially in the case of FGM, and we've also seen some of the counties that actually have cultural beliefs and traditions, they are also using alternative forms of menstrual supplies, even dried up cow dung. They are giving that to girls because they believe now the modern sanitary supplies can have an effect into their health. That is, even they are making them believe that they'll have cancer That is due now to lack of access to information, as well as when you are giving products to these women and girls, you also have to now actually create that confidence that once they use these menstrual supplies, they'll not be affected, because we've seen some of the areas that we've distributed the dignity kits, some are reluctant to use them because they've been made, maybe their mothers or grandmothers have made them believe that the supplies are not actually good for their health. So they tend to use the traditional, I won't call them menstrual supplies, because if you use dried up cow dung as a sanitary pad, or even dried up pawpaw plants, because they'll suck the blood. That's what they say, and that's to them is safe. And they tell them that's what we've been using for ages and nothing has happened to us. But in reality, they have effect onto their health.
And Agnes, even as we talk about some of this impediments in as far as achieving optimal MHM, there has been the need for better communication or better research when we are distributing these products to the young women and girls. For example, there's some girls and women that react to the ordinary pads, and we have seen cases of the same even for other women. Is this something that is looked into and strategically done to ensure that you not only give a child, or rather a woman and a girl, a pack of pads, but also cater for their needs?
Thank you, Gladys. Yes, the issue of research is very important, and we consider that when we are implementing these MHM programs for the girls and women. And the research has been done extensively around the various menstrual products we have, the menstrual cup, the reusable pads, the disposable, and what effects they may have on the girls, to make sure that they are safe. And just to bring on board that we have the Kenyan Bureau of Standards, which also come in, and Ministry of Health, to ensure that these products, which are getting to the girls and women, are safe for their use. Now, research comes in terms of studying to see for particular girls or for particular communities, what would work with them, because we have, for example, the reusable pads, which need to be properly cleaned and dried. Now, and they need some level of water to use. So what we do is to engage the girls before we give any product to them, to understand what are their situations, what are the challenges, what conditions are they in, also what are their tastes, what would they prefer as a choice. And then from there, you give them each product and explain to them what it means to them, how it can be used, and then they can make a choice on what they can be able to use. So we don't say that as a blanket, we just go and give reusable or we give disposable. It has to be dictated by the interests of the girls, and also involving them in a participatory manner and in a discussion to understand their needs. And then you have the buy-in and the support, because you can have cases where the reusable pads are given and they are not used, or they are shared between one girl and another, or even with the mother, if they don't understand what it means not to be able to share these products and what effects they may have if they are able to share them. Because if they are properly used and they are used in the proper context, then they don't have any negative effects to the girls and women. But if this is not taken care of, then this can have a negative effect. So even before the MHM policy was done, we had the situation analysis research, which was done to check what are the girls using, what is available there, what is the source of information, what are the gaps and what are the challenges which the girls are going through. So research is very important to be able to back up the interventions we go out there and do. So we can't say for Northeastern, this is what will work. You know, we have the Muslim culture, and we have in Eastern, we have in Western Kenya. So we have all these cultural issues which come up. For example, in some communities, they'll believe the girl or the woman is dirty when she's menstruating. They will believe she can't cook. She can't go to the vegetable garden, the greens will dry up. And so with all this, you have to understand first, what is the culture? What are the barriers? And then with that, you're able to know which is the most important behavior change communication methodology which you can use for this particular community, because you have to change first the taboo and the stigma and this negative cultural beliefs, because even some lead to early marriage of these girls, because they will believe, oh, if I get married, I don't need to experience this period again. I don't have to buy the pads, and I will not have this issue. So this misinformation, unless you get into the research and study this community and understand, and then you design the right intervention, then you'll find that there is no impact in whatever you are doing. So we have to invest in the studies and the research and talking to these girls and women and not leaving out the men in these communities. Remember, they come up with the cultural beliefs and these norms which are practiced in the community. So again, we have to go back to them to be able to make a change in these communities for the girls and women to live a dignified life. So we don't just go out and distribute the pads without the right information and without the right research to make sure that the right method is being used.
All right. Now, let's go back to the impact of the pandemic on MHM. And somebody just said, okay, fine. Our healthcare workers are on their feet for a long, long time. Are we stopping to consider their needs when it comes to menstrual hygiene? What are the options at this point, Alfred, from your experience?
Yeah, I think when the pandemic started in China, we got quite a number of reports that especially the menstruators in those regions had to work for long hours, longer than they had been used to, and the protective gears are also very prohibitive. You just can't go and change your product, and that they were also, most of the materials were not also available in most shops. So in April we started donating and sending free cups, Ruby cups, to healthcare workers in Europe, mostly because of the logistics, and then also here in Kenya because we have stock here. So we started donating to healthcare workers. So yeah, like a menstrual cup you can wear up to 12 hours. Yeah. Obviously, you won't necessarily be in a PPE for those 12 hours, but it's it helps with reducing the toilet breaks, to change products. And yeah, like others wouldn't have access to the materials, and it would be very uncomfortable for them. So that in a way provides that safety and comfort that they need at that time. Yeah, and healthcare workers falls under that new group of vulnerable groups with the pandemic. Yeah. Obviously, there are people who are employed, now they are not employed. Then the healthcare workers have to work long hours. They have to wear the PPEs for such a long time. And in fact, if you look at a lot of the PPEs that were being purchased, we got reports that they were never made with women in mind. Yeah. So again, quite prohibitive for women healthcare workers. But yeah, that's the way we've tried to contribute in our own small way by donating free menstrual cups to healthcare workers. They just need to be in a group where at least one of them has used this so that they can support the rest. But yeah, we've already done that to healthcare workers in Turkana. We're shipping soon to Baringo, and we have quite a number of requests that we are processing.
And Grace, what's your experience in enabling healthcare workers in the different counties you visited?
Thank you, Gladys. In most of the counties that we visited, we've noted the same similar sentiments that Norbert has expressed. So we are actually also supporting the healthcare workers. First, we are offering, because they need psychosocial support in regards to the same. So we are currently doing that, as well as now provision of the PPEs to the healthcare workers. And also because we also wanted them to be able to offer services to the women and girls who are visiting the hospitals and who are also fearing to do so because of the COVID-19 pandemic, because they were telling us when they visit the healthcare facilities, they not find any healthcare workers there. And when we did our research, we found that it's because they don't have access even to the now menstrual health products, as well as the PPEs. So CRU has been working with the healthcare workers and distributing such so that they can continue providing services for the women and girls.
Now, apart from enabling our girls and women when it comes to menstrual hygiene management, it seems behavioral change is very critical in enabling the same. Liz, what is your experience and how do you go about sensitizing the women and girls living with disability?
So our work at Disability Trust is twofold. We work to create visibility amongst the general public on the reality of the lives of women and girls with disabilities, including how they navigate life and, the various levels of discrimination that they go through across the trajectory of their lives. But then we also believe it's important to give power back to the woman. A lot of power has been taken away from women and girls with disabilities, a lot of decision-making, even within our laws, which take away legal capacity for individuals with intellectual disabilities. So for us, it is to build the capacity of women and girls with disabilities, ensure that we can amplify their voices because they have opinions, we educate on their rights, we create linkages with various partners, and we also use unconventional methods to send the message across. One area that I think COVID has presented, one opportunity rather, is the use of technology, whether it is the internet or whether it is mobile technology. I think in the disability sector, where access to information has been a big issue, I think technology now presents an opportunity for us to begin to invest more rapidly in, and particularly government, and for us also to squarely place responsibility on duty bearers. And in this case, looking at how the government begins to prioritize. I looked at the menstrual health policy, which talked about 50.2% of the Kenyan population being women, women and girls. And when you look at statistics from a disability standpoint, which say at least 20% of all women are women and girls with disabilities, which makes Kenya having 4.8 million women and girls with disabilities. So it's a huge number that needs to be taken seriously, and increased investments to be made in that area. And then also speaking on what disability has been doing throughout this pandemic period with regards to menstrual health and hygiene, we've partnered with UNFPA, and we've also been distributing dignity kits to women and girls with disabilities. We work in 8 counties, and we've been doing a lot of that, and also cash transfers, but also in line with our capacity building, because you can't not have food on the table, especially in this time. So thinking about employment opportunities, entrepreneurship opportunities, and ensuring that we are utilizing technology to ensure that communities of women and girls that we work with have relevant and competitive skills that will allow them to thrive in a very difficult environment.
And still on behavioral change, Norbert, what is the role of community health volunteers in changing behavior in the communities?
Thank you. That's the direction I wanted to go. One thing, as the Department of Health, we are really using our community health volunteers to pass messages at the community level. Currently, during this pandemic period, we have enlisted a few who are moving door to door just to establish the situation of COVID within the households of their coverage. And by so doing, they're also passing messages to the members of the community. This program on MHM can also be rolled through the community health volunteers, because currently they have been capacity built and they are aware of how to protect themselves. We're also facilitating them with the PPEs, the necessary PPEs, for them to go around our households and get the correct data for us. Thank you.
And even as we have this conversation and continue with the same right after a short break, let me go through some facts in as far as menstrual hygiene is concerned. Did you know that you could actually have as little as 150 or as many as 450 periods in your life? Every woman has a slightly different cycle length, which on average can vary from every 21 to 36 days. However, this wouldn't drastically change the number of periods a woman experiences throughout the course of her life. Now, also, did you know the average starting age for periods has changed? Yes, it has. Generally, the age at which women start their period is becoming younger and younger. A century ago, the average starting age for periods was 16, but now the average is 12 years old. And it's not uncommon for girls as young as 8 years old to start puberty too. Now, this is thought to be due to a number of factors, such as better overall health and diet. However, other things such as stress, being overweight, and climate change can also influence the age at which girls start puberty. Now, also, did you know you are born with all your eggs or ovaries for this case? Yes, you acquire, ladies, all the eggs you'll ever need during your time during the gestation period in the womb, even before you are born. In fact, you'll start life with more than a couple of million eggs, which is way more than you'll ever need. And that's for sure, if you think about it. All of the extra eggs gradually die off as your biological clock ticks. And so this is why you can't have any more babies once you reach menopause. Ladies, do you also know that some periods are not true periods? As you know, your period occurs after it's built up throughout the month and the lining of a womb sheds. So this is a true period. However, if you bleed out with, then it isn't considered as such. A perfect example of this would be the period you get if you're on the combined pill or any contraceptive. This isn't a true period because it occurs when high hormone levels suddenly decline. Thing is, if you aren't sure why you are bleeding out of your regular menstrual cycle, it's always worth paying your doctor a visit. Well, time for another short break on your world. We'll be back with the other world.
Heaviness and a burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn so you can keep living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
Nawa mikono sasa. Nawa mikono sasa. Nawa mikono sasa. Nawa mikono sasa. Unawajua mikono ni mojawapo ya njia bora zaidi ya kukukinga dhidi ya magonjwa na ya kukufanya uwe na afya kwa mwaka mzima.
He was Kenya's first Attorney General. Other than the country's presidents, he was by far the most powerful man in public life. Gigi Kariuki and Jonjo were so close to Moi that they often rode with Moi in public, something no minister, not even the vice president, would have been allowed to do during Kenyatta's time.
You looked over your shoulders every time. You didn't trust even your wife sometimes.
Did you know there's a laundry bar soap that can help save you time, water, and money? You save by not having to use multiple products. And you only rinse once. For a laundry soap that can help save you time, water, and money, try Whitewash Extra. Brand power, helping you buy better.
Are you a business owner? Sign up today to accept fast, easy, and secure payments through Visa. What's more, enjoy flexible financing options for your business. Call us today on 0703 095 445.
It is your world. My name is Gladys Gachanja. Let's take a look at the other world. Schools across Auckland reopened Monday as New Zealand's largest city emerged from lockdown, with Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern expressing confidence a second wave outbreak of coronavirus was under control. While Aucklanders were allowed out of their homes, the government limited non-school social gatherings in the city to up to 10 people and made masks compulsory on public transport nationwide. The Auckland lockdown began on August the 12th after 4 cases were detected in the city of 1.5 million, ending 102 days free of community transmission when it appeared New Zealand had beaten the virus. The cluster of infections has since grown to 141, with 4 new cases of community transmission reported on Monday, making it the largest recorded in New Zealand.
That's a thumbs up.
Elsewhere, a dramatic video shows onlookers screaming after a girl is caught up by the long tail of a kite that was set off amid powerful winds and was lifted to around 5-story high before the kite came down, and she was caught by some people in the crowd, as you can see. Hat goes out to the mother. Now, as a blackout plunged her desert dwelling into darkness, so a David dancer belonging to India's Kalbalia gypsy community asked her neighbor to turn on his jeep's headlights so she could continue teaching her Zoom class outside. The coronavirus pandemic has forced so many people to go online, but the largely nomadic, marginalized Kalbalia face bigger challenges than most, with several living in mud huts or tents with patchy electricity and non-existent Wi-Fi. Various restrictions wiped out the 26-year-old single mother's livelihood as a performer in tourism-dependent Rajasthan state, and like others in the community, she has received no financial aid from the government.
This and one sitting also this one. When we sit first one, Kalbalia, when we start beginning, so when we make a round, so we sit like that. Second round, we sit like that.
Adjusting with the times. Now, before a man was shot dead in the U.S. city of Portland Sunday, the latest violence to upend anti-racism protests as President Donald Trump presses an election message characterizing his Democratic opponent Joe Biden as weak on violent crime. But hours after the gunfire Saturday during a pro-Trump rally in the Oregon city, Biden accused the president of fanning the flames of violence in a polarized and tense nation. The shooting followed a week of countrywide protests, including the cancellation of numerous sporting events over the police shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin, of African-American Jacob Blake.
I'm so excited to have this.
Oh, wow. It's like solid filter.
Across the border, jazz band from a Mexican restaurant which was forced to close because of a pandemic now performs from the back of a pickup as it drives through the local neighborhood, entertaining people whilst respecting social distancing measures. Lurie Molina, the double bass player, said jazz was born on the streets. It completely belongs to the streets. Jazz is not academic. Of course, you can study it, but jazz, the essence of it, you don't get in school, in a music university. Jazz is this. Playing jazz is being in the street. Margarita Tula Flores, a neighbor, the music relaxes me. Listening to music is to forget a little of the problems that one has. Well, enjoy the music. Away from the jazz lovers, hundreds of people demonstrate in Boston against a new rule mandating flu shots for students in Massachusetts to ease the impact of a possible second wave of the virus.
They're trying to take our children. They're trying to infect them with these vaccinations. They're trying to force upon us something that we have the right to say no to.
He got his MMR shot, and it was almost instantaneously. He looked to the right, and the light switch inside of him went off. And I had never heard about a light switch going off inside of a child. And after doing some research, we realized that vaccine injury is a real thing. And through more and more research, we learned, that he was born with autism, but he wasn't born with it. He contracted it. So now we just go to anything and everything we can. We try to spread the word. And we're not anti-vax, we're just vax choice.
This is the perfect subject to bring people together, because if you look around, there's people of all political persuasions here, probably more libertarian, probably more conservative, but I'm sure there's lots of liberals here, lots of Democrats, because this is about the freedom to choose, a true free choice over your own body and your own family. And if you truly believe in that, if you're a classic liberal, then conservatives and liberals can come together on that point.
In my experience on all these years has been that there's no such thing as settled science. It's an ongoing process. It's something that we improve upon. It's something that we research. It's something that we try to make better constantly. And just because we put a name to something and call it a vaccine, that doesn't make it settled science.
The system is failing our children.
Elsewhere, Olivia Cortes James wants us to talk about menstrual health. No more euphemisms, no more opaque marketing, no more superstitions, and no glossing over cramps, bleeding, or pain. Reframing current attitudes is vital for female empowerment and health, as well as the environment, says the 29-year-old founder of Luna Naturals, which hails itself as Asia's first period care company with an all-female leadership team.
For me, the taboos around menstruation pose the biggest barrier to the advancement of women and girls around the world. They get women coming through saying, but if society still tells us that our bodies are kind of lesser or weaker than men's, then what chance do we have of ever achieving true gender equality? We will always, as women, be psychologically subjugated by our own female biology. I actually think a worse taboo than telling women that tampons are unsafe is telling women that our tampons are safe when in fact they're made of viscose and polyester and rayon and conventional cotton grown with toxic chemicals. Obviously we wish we lived in a world where it was like, When we talk to women who've typically used plastic sanitary pads all their lives, it's really interesting the words that they use to describe menstruation. Sticky, smelly, unhygienic, uncomfortable. Menstruation is none of those things. It's because we're walking around with plastic sheets between our legs that we have come to associate this natural process with those negative symptoms. Because to me, it is mad that we are not taught at school how much blood is normal to lose. And if you're losing over a certain amount, you probably have an underlying health condition that you need to seek help for. It's mad that we are not taught there are 4 stages to our menstrual cycle. I genuinely thought my menstrual cycle was bleeding, like crappy version of Olivia, and not bleeding normal Olivia. And that is so detrimental to our psychology as women. Say that normalizing conversation around periods can affect so many aspects of our lives, not just for women. So it can really help advance attitudes towards female health, push forward the fight for gender equality, and also have a real impact on our fight against climate change.
Very well said, Olivia Cortes-James there talking about menstrual health and just the occurrence of the same and what it means for the woman and how she actually ties that to gender equality. Agnes, briefly tell us how these two connect. Improper MHM actually speaks to gender inequality.
Thank you, Gladys, for that. Yes, the issue of menstrual hygiene management and gender, they are quite related. And this is in relation to issues that women during menstruation in many communities always get discriminated during menstruation by not being given equal rights as men to be able to equally participate in various activities. For example, for education activities, we have to give both boys and girls equal opportunities, and menstruation denies, if it's not well addressed by ensuring that these girls have safe and hygienic products, they have ways of disposing the used products, and they also have the right information, then they don't have the same opportunity as a boy, because when they miss these products or these other components, then they miss school, and at this time, then they are not concentrating. So their concentration is affected. And so that opportunity in terms of the gender then discriminates or makes this girl not to have the same equal opportunity as the boy in school. So as the boy is concentrating, then the girl is busy thinking of how to handle the menstruation or even missing the school at all and even dropping out completely. And when we have these suboptimal wash facilities in the schools, then this really affects negatively the girl. And also in terms of going to work, if at the workplace we don't have clean toilets and bathrooms for the girl, for the woman to be able to change or even to manage pain, then this discriminates on the woman. And so we have gender being focal, that we have to give equal opportunities for these women at their place of work, and the girls at school, and at all places in the community to make sure that the girl and the woman have the same equal rights and opportunities as the boys and the men.
Very well said. And even as we look at the recently launched MHM policy by the Ministry of Health, it also speaks about the importance of sensitizing on how to conserve the environment in as far as how to safely dispose of menstrual materials. What is your experience on the same, and what are you enabling in communities, Alfred?
Yeah, so I think, looking at comprehensive menstrual hygiene management, we look at, breaking the silence, the safe, hygienic and, disposal of the menstrual materials, and obviously the access to the materials and like the right information. And we've done quite well in a lot of those specific areas, except the one on disposal. So that remains a big challenge, especially in the schools. So you go and construct a toilet, and after a few months, the girls' toilet is already full. Yeah. So And many a times girls will be told to dispose the sanitary pads inside the pit latrine. So that's clearly not sustainable. In areas without even toilet, you'll find them disposed all over. So we need to definitely look at sustainable options, whether it's, durable materials like reusable sanitary pads, or, menstrual cups. But now the good news is that we have quite a lot of innovations where we have people developing sanitary pads that are actually compostable. So made from bamboo, or whether it's made from banana fibers. But that's the way to go, because then that will definitely compost rather than the plastic lining that will stay there for, hundreds of years. Yeah.
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, I need to put to bed this conversation, but before we do, it is important to know that we are at a time where the stakeholders are figuring out how to even go on and open schools and for us to live with a new normal, but go about our normal lives with the MHM policy now in place. How do we envision this coming to enable our young girls and, of course, women when it comes to menstrual health? I'll start off with you in Trans Zoe Norbert, what are your expectations?
Okay, thank you. One thing I want to appreciate the national government for having rolled out this MHM policy and strategy. And as a county, we are really looking at it and see how we can customize it to our level. We are also reaching out to other partners to see that what has been put in the policy and strategy is implemented to the fully. I'm happy to report to this forum that we already have political goodwill, especially for the wash sector. It's excellent that our governor has committed to support this process with over 30 million. And as a county, we are really looking forward to their support so that we can be able to roll it out to the schools and then ensure that our girls are really receiving the necessary facilities and they are also disposing them safely. The issue of disposal, I think Bonamule has talked about it, and it is really a challenge. And I call upon our stakeholders, especially the education sector, as we plan for the schools, let us also plan on how, especially the girls' schools, how we are going to dispose the menstrual hygiene products. Thank you.
Grace Kate, you come from the point of view of the Center for Rights Education and Awareness. Your expectations?
My expectations, as well as for the organization and crew, like I had mentioned earlier, Gladys is already working with the county governments and also the grassroots women-led organizations to ensure that first, this policy, the MH policy is well implemented, as well as monitoring process, and also ensuring that the county governments have dedicated budget allocations specific to the gender needs of the women and girls at the county levels, as well as putting into consideration the specific county needs, because different counties have different needs on the basis of menstrual health management hygiene, as well as also we want to work with the county government and other stakeholders to also ensure that the menstrual health policies at the county level are mainstreamed in all areas of implementation, so that we ensure that women and girls live in a safe and dignified manner. And should also want, because we have, I don't want to say this, but I have to say it, let this not policy be just a document that will just be put on the drawers. Let's all ensure that there's a multi-sectoral approach to ensure that the policy has actually been implemented to its full course. Thank you, Gladys.
Very well said. And Lizzie, you're here to represent the women and girls living with disability. Lizzie?
Yes. So for me, my expectations are that... Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Lizzie.
Now, okay, I'm sorry about that. We are hopeful that We are hopeful that the policy is more explicit on the implementation outcomes and has more clear language around women and girls with disabilities, because currently what I have read is there's really a blanket cover around persons with disabilities, which is not helpful. And I have not seen any succinct language on how the implementation is going to cater to communities of women and girls with disabilities. And then also my expectation would be to include communities of women and girls with disabilities around the conversation on environmental conservation, because the disposal is very critical. And when we're talking about inaccessible sanitation facilities in most public schools and rural areas, it's a critical concern. There's also the need to work with the media to address how the media portrays women and girls with disabilities in order to begin to reduce the stigma and the stereotyping that happens. And also there would be a need to invest in disaggregated data collection. At Disability, we are soon launching a national data collection platform that will use mobile technology to collect data of women and girls with disabilities across the country. And we are hopeful to work with as many partners as possible. But also another thing would be to include menstrual health, hygiene, education across our education curriculum. I think that would be necessary, and for that to be enforced in all schools, despite it being a segregated school or an integrated school. Thank you.
Now, Agnes, the right to water, right to sanitation has been highlighted in the menstrual hygiene management policy, and this is also a basic human right for all women. Talk about that, even as you give your perspective.
Thank you, Gladys. Yes, every person has a right to water, sanitation, and hygiene. And in the menstrual hygiene management policy, it clearly states that the government is going to ensure that we have a clean and healthy environment for all Kenyans. So my call to action to the government is to ensure that as the schools reopen, the schools are safe for our children. UNICEF advocates for the rights of children in Kenya and in the world. And so my call is that this policy is implemented to ensure that we have access to safe water in the schools for hand washing, and that soap is provided, and that also we have adequate sanitation facilities for boys and girls, gender-sensitive toilets, which are separated for boys and girls to ensure that the girls have the privacy we need in these schools to be able to concentrate in class and to have a better life and a healthy environment in the schools. So in addition to what we are doing in the schools about reopening, I also want to urge the government to make sure that this menstrual hygiene management policy has been implemented in our schools and in our communities and in our public places, to make sure that we break the silence on taboos and myths through MHM education for girls, boys, men, and women, and also advocate for affordable and safe menstrual hygiene management products and disposal facilities. It should be that the product is available and accessible and affordable to the girls and women, that they don't have to miss school or miss their work or their business opportunity because of menstruation, which is a normal process. And I also urge the government and other stakeholders to improve the coverage of water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities at our homes, in schools and public places, and also to have an increased budget allocation for menstrual hygiene management. We have the policy passed and the strategy, but we don't have any government entity except Ministry of Education who procure sanitary pads for the girls. We don't have a budget dedicated for menstrual hygiene management. So the policy will not be effectively implemented without this budget. And then lastly, the private sector and Mintia have to be involved fully in implementation of menstrual hygiene management in schools and communities, and innovations like having these technology apps, which the girls can access information anywhere at any time in their phones and outside their phones to be able to have access to the right information on menstrual hygiene management.
Okay, and Alfred, you have worked a lot in the informal and settlements and, of course, the rural areas. Your parting shot.
For me, I think it's important that we implement the policy. As I think Grace mentioned, we just don't want one beautiful policy and strategy sitting at the Ministry of Health. We need to implement that. The other thing, we need standards for all these menstrual materials. Choice is important as well, that we have choice and preferences for different menstrual materials. Let's make that a reality for everyone. I think unless that trickles down to that girl in Turkana, to that girl in Lamu, then it's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And yes, every stakeholder has to be involved, including men and boys, because then girls don't live in a vacuum. They live in communities, and everyone in those communities has to be engaged to normalize menstruation.
Now, menstrual health management, which is abbreviated as MHM, if this is the first time you're hearing about the policy that was launched on May the 28th, the mission of this policy is to actually ensure that all women and girls in Kenya can manage menstruation hygienically, freely, with dignity, without stigma or taboos, and with access to the fight or the right information on MHM, menstrual products, services and facilities, and to safely dispose of menstrual waste. So that's what everyone is saying. It needs to be implemented, and this becomes a reality where we can give our women and girls a dignified menstrual period. Well, at that point, I thank you all for joining us on this very crucial conversation. But then again, we had asked you earlier to talk to us and let us know what are the challenges out there in as far as access to menstrual products. We're talking about the menstrual cup, pads, and the tampons, depending on what somebody uses. Eric Miner says, girls and women have limited options for safe, private disposal of menstrual waste. Well, interesting. I guess you have an experience on this. Njoki says the cost of these products, they are too expensive, but most women and girls can't afford, especially now that girls are at home, so they are not benefiting from the free sanitary pads given in schools. Very well said, and it has been alluded to. Baraza, who says it is so cool that a man is demonstrating the use of a menstrual cup. Yep, this is a conversation that needs to happen more frequently and involve all genders, and that's why it was imperative to have a male champion in studio. Eric Jr., government gives condoms for free but no sanitary towels. Yeah, we have our priorities warped. Ori says costly, especially tampons, also rarely easily accessible to ladies, because who sells tampons unless you go buy at the mall? And also the pads are standardized. These pads are plenty in a packet abroad, but here 8 pieces a packet at 85 to 100 shillings. Why? Because we are a developing country. Yes, the MHM policy is also seeking to look into this and ensure that all can access menstrual products. Well, again, thank you for your for joining us on this conversation. But tomorrow we look at the welfare of the youth, the classes of 2020, and the generation at its most vulnerable state. We're talking about the youth. Do you feel you have been forgotten in this conversation during this pandemic? Are your dreams still valid in the face of a pandemic, or have you abandoned ship and changed tact? We answer these and other questions tomorrow at 7 a.m. See you then.